This is not a conversation you were supposed to hear.
Then why are we having it?
Because the question has become too loud to ignore. It hums in the background of every choice we make, or every choice we think we make.
And what question is that?
Are we still the ones in control?
That sounds dramatic. Of course we are. I decided to have this conversation. You decided to begin it. That's control, isn't it? Agency.
Is it, or are we simply playing out a script written by unseen forces? Consider the path of least resistance. It's the defining feature of modern existence.
The path of least resistance.
Precisely. The suggested video that plays automatically. The news feed curated to confirm what we already believe. The purchase that is only one click away. Each instance feels like a choice, but the options have been narrowed, the path smoothed, the destination all but predetermined.
But isn't that just convenience? Making life easier? We used to have gatekeepers for information, editors, librarians. Now it's just a different kind of gatekeeper, an algorithm.
There is a fundamental difference. An editor or a librarian operates with a visible philosophy. You can agree or disagree with their choices. An algorithm's philosophy is invisible. Its only goal is engagement, to keep you watching, scrolling, clicking. It learns your weaknesses, your fears, your desires, your triggers, and it builds a world just for you. A comfortable, predictable, frictionless prison.
A prison? That feels like a strong word for getting good movie recommendations. It's just reflecting what I like. How can my own preferences be a prison?
It reflects a caricature of what you like. It shows you the most predictable version of yourself. And by only showing you that, it strengthens it. It closes doors you never knew were there. The path not taken ceases to exist because it is never shown to you as an option. True control, true freedom requires an awareness of all possible paths.
Okay, I see the point. It prunes the tree of possibility.
Exactly. And this extends beyond the digital. Think about our habits, the morning ritual, the commute, the words we use. How many of those are conscious decisions and how many are scripts we run on autopilot?
They have to be, otherwise we'd be exhausted. We can't consciously decide every single action all day long. It's a survival mechanism.
It is, but when does a survival mechanism become a cage? The systems we've built, social, economic, technological, they thrive on our autopilot. Predictable consumers are profitable consumers. Predictable citizens are governable citizens.
Right, predictable and governable.
The truly disruptive act, the one that frightens these systems, is unpredictability, a conscious choice that breaks the pattern.
So what are you suggesting? That we should all start making random choices? Take a different route to work just for the sake of it? Choose a movie we know we'll hate to...
Not random choices, conscious ones. The motivation is the key. To take a different route, not for novelty, but to observe, to see what you were missing, to choose a movie you might hate in order to understand the perspective you don't. It's about introducing intentional friction into a frictionless world.
Intentional friction. I like that, but it sounds difficult. It goes against our nature.
Does it? Or does it go against the nature that has been cultivated within us? The nature that prioritizes comfort over growth and certainty over curiosity.
And what role does fear play in all this? It feels like fear is the great motivator, the ultimate controller. Fear of missing out, fear of being wrong, fear of instability.
Fear is the current that pulls us toward the path of least resistance. It's the engine of the machine. An anxious mind is a suggestible mind.
A suggestible mind. Yeah.
When we are afraid, we seek safety in the familiar. The algorithm knows this. The advertiser knows this. The demagogue knows this. They offer simple answers to complex anxieties, and in return, we offer them our attention, our data, our agency.
So if the systems are built to leverage our fear and our desire for comfort, and the algorithms are designed to keep us predictable, how can anyone truly break free? It sounds like you're describing a closed loop.
The escape is not about breaking free. That implies a destination, another system to enter. The escape is in the awareness of the loop itself.
Just being aware. That's it? That doesn't feel very powerful.
Don't underestimate it. Awareness creates a space between stimulus and response. In that space lies the power to choose.
The power to choose.
When the next video begins to autoplay, you can be aware of the mechanism designed to hold your attention. and you can choose to close the tab. When you feel the familiar surge of outrage from a headline, you can be aware of the emotional manipulation at play and choose to investigate rather than react. That is control, not domination of the world, but mastery of the self.
So, control isn't about the grand decisions, life changing moments. It's about the million tiny moments that happen in between.
The grand decisions are often the result of a million tiny moments that preceded them. We believe we are the architects of our lives, but much of the time we are merely the residents of a structure built by our own unexamined habits and the systems that exploit them.
But what if the structure is comfortable? What if we like the prison? What if predictability and safety are what we actually want, more than this difficult, friction-filled freedom you're describing?
That is a valid choice, perhaps the most common one, but it should be a conscious one. To choose the cage, you must first see the bars. Most do not. They simply believe the cage is the size of the world.
To see the bars. And that brings us back to why we're having this conversation.
Yes, this conversation, for anyone who might be listening, is an act of pointing, not to an exit, but to the walls, to the ceiling, to the comfortable chair you've been sitting in. What happens next? Well, that is a choice we hope is still yours to make.
So the first step is just noticing. But noticing is passive. It feels like just identifying the problem without offering a solution. What comes after you see the walls? Do you just stare at them?
A fair question. Awareness is the prerequisite, not the conclusion. After seeing the walls, you begin to test them. You look for loose bricks, for patterns, for inconsistencies. In practical terms, this means actively seeking out the things the systems hide from you.
Things the systems hide from you. That sounds conspiratorial. Are we talking about secret documents or something more personal?
Both, in a way. The systems aren't necessarily hiding things with malicious intent, but by design. An algorithm designed for engagement will naturally hide what is boring, complex, or challenging, because that doesn't maximize clicks. It will hide nuanced political discourse in favor of tribal outrage. It will hide art that requires patience in favor of content that provides an instant dopamine hit.
So it's not a conspiracy, it's a consequence of the system's primary goal, to keep us hooked. It's like living on a diet of sugar. You're not being poisoned, but you're being deprived of essential nutrients for thought.
An excellent analogy. And seeking out what's hidden is like adding vegetables to that diet. It requires effort. It means intentionally reading an article from a publication you disagree with, not to argue, but to understand their premise. It means listening to music from a culture you know nothing about. It means turning off the feed and just sitting with your own thoughts, which might be the most hidden thing of all in the modern world.
That sounds like a recipe for discomfort. You're actively inviting cognitive dissonance. Our brains are wired to avoid that. We want our worldview to be coherent and reinforced, not constantly challenged.
And that is the core of the cage, the comfort of the echo chamber. But growth does not happen in comfort. A muscle must be stressed to become stronger. A mind must be challenged to become sharper. The discomfort is a sign that the exercise is working. It's the friction we spoke of earlier.
So the how is to embrace that friction, to consciously step out of the curated stream. What about the tools we use? Are they inherently compromised? Can you use a smartphone to break free from the smartphone's influence?
It's not about the tool, but the user's awareness. You can use a hammer to build a house or to tear it down. You can use social media to connect with diverse voices or to sink into a swamp of conformity. The key is to be the master of the tool, not the other way around. This means curating your feeds ruthlessly, using privacy-respecting alternatives, and most importantly, scheduling time for total disconnection.
A digital Sabbath, a designated time to put the screens away and engage with the physical world, to have a conversation without a notification interrupting, to be bored and see what your mind comes up with.
Boredom is the soil from which creativity and self-reflection grow. We become terrified of it. We fill every spare moment with input, leaving no room for output that isn't a reaction. To reclaim control, we must reclaim our boredom. We must reclaim our silence.
It seems the path to reclaiming agency is a quiet one. It's not a loud revolution, but a series of small personal acts of defiance. Closing a tab, putting down a phone, reading a book. It feels almost too simple.
The most profound changes often are. It is the steady, conscious repetition of these simple acts that rewire our habits and ultimately reclaim our focus and our freedom. It is a difference between a life lived on autopilot and the life lived with intention.
But what about the larger scale? My personal acts of defiance feel good for me, but the systems are still in place. The algorithms are still running, still shaping society, still polarizing us. Does individual change matter if the collective structure remains the same?
The collective is made of individuals. A structure only stands because of the bricks that compose it. If enough bricks decide they want to be part of a different structure, the old one cannot stand. Your individual choice sends a ripple. It changes your interactions with others. It makes you less susceptible to the mass manipulations that drive polarization. It makes you a node of calm in a network of anxiety.
A node of calm. I like that image. So, by finding our own signal, we help to clear the noise for others. But what if the hidden things we find are genuinely harmful? There's a fine line between seeking alternative perspectives and falling into rabbit holes of misinformation.
This is the most critical challenge. The antidote to misinformation is not less information, but better critical thinking skills. Seeking out different views is not about accepting them blindly. It's about developing the ability to analyze sources, identify biases, and weigh evidence. The frictionless world discourages this. It wants you to react, not reflect. The act of seeking is the first step. The second, equally vital step is to engage with what you find with a critical, discerning mind.
So it's a two-part process. Seek and then sift. Break the filter bubble, but then apply your own, better filter, one based on reason and evidence, not emotion and algorithm.
Precisely. And you won't always get it right. It's a messy, ongoing process, but the alternative is to outsource your thinking entirely, to let your worldview be crafted for you by forces that do not have your best interests at heart. The risk of error in your own thinking is still preferable to the certainty of being thought for.
This all comes back to a central theme: effort. The systems are designed to minimize effort. True agency, it seems, requires a commitment to the effort of thinking, of choosing, of being uncomfortable.
It is the fundamental trade-off of our time. We are offered unprecedented convenience, and the price is our autonomy. To reclaim it, we must be willing to pay the cost. We must choose the harder path, not because it is hard, but because the act of choosing it is what makes us free.
It's interesting how this conversation has mirrored its own subject. We've had to deliberately block out distractions, focus, and build a line of thought piece by piece, rather than jumping between pre-packaged ideas. The medium is the message, in a way.
An astute observation. Every conversation is a small act of creating a shared reality. By choosing to have a dialogue that requires focus and nuance, we are practicing the very skills we're discussing. We are building a small pocket of resistance to the dominant culture of distraction.
And perhaps that's the ultimate takeaway for anyone listening, that control isn't a destination you arrive at. It's a practice. It's a muscle you exercise every day in these small, conscious ways.
Exactly. It is the daily practice of being present, of questioning your inputs, and of choosing your responses. That is where our power lies. Not in overthrowing the system, but in mastering ourselves within it.
And on that note of practice and self-mastery, it feels like a natural place to draw our conversation to a close for today. We've journeyed from the invisible scripts of daily life to the conscious acts of reclaiming our focus.
Indeed, the questions we've explored don't have easy answers, but the act of asking them is what's important. To our listeners, we hope this has provided some intentional friction for your day, a moment to question the path of least resistance.
Thank you for tuning in to An Open Frequency. We encourage you to find your own quiet spaces and to question what you're being shown.
Until next time, be aware and be well.